at this point.
No, we all should be.
It's the most wonderful time of the year when the January 6th committee prepares to release its report. Welcome to the year-end edition of Mamocrats Mama Chat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz-Mills, and here again with Aliza Worthington and Kara Lee, both of crooksandliars.com. And I wasn't thinking that this was going to be our year-end show till I started thinking what next week is and the week
Right.
after that. And it's like, you know what? This is our year-end show.
Let's make it.
We need to have a party,
Yeah.
Yes.
and especially the kind of year this has been. So
Oh, you know what? I'm going to do that too. Hang on.
I got to put some booze into my coffee.
There you go. Cheers.
So cheers. Beautiful.
All right.
I won't pour all of it into my coffee, but
No, I didn't pour all of it in, just enough to
that's a great idea.
stick.
Wait, I got to drink some down first.
We're just living it up here.
Living the good life. Careful. Don't
I'm on the
drink
left
that hot
coast
coffee
this
too fast.
week, people. I'm on the same coast as Carolee and Donna.
That's right.
Audience, whoever's listening.
We're all in the same time zone change.
Yeah. So cheers. Everybody
cheers.
start drinking. When you grow up, if you're watching, get yourself something to drink.
Everyone.
Because you guys, we made it through.
Sort of.
And it has not been easy.
It's been a year.
No, although it's been easier than, say, 2020.
Yeah.
And even 2021. I mean,
it's just, I guess it's just been different.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have on my bingo card at the beginning of the year that Twitter would be purchased by Elon Musk for $44 billion and then rapidly destroyed.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, it's one of those things where like Twitter was a public company. It wasn't actually doing very well as a public company, but it was one. And there was a lot of ways it could have gone. This wasn't the way I wanted it to go, for sure. So yeah.
Last night was crazy. Elon, without notice, suspended a whole bunch of journalists. And then when they discovered that there was a loophole in the Spaces function, one journalist held a big Spaces gathering, and there were thousands of people there. And then Elon showed up. One of the suspended journalists asked him a question he didn't like. He dropped out, and then all of a sudden, nobody has Spaces anymore.
Yeah, I guess he just killed the whole thing because apparently they could still get into that. They couldn't post, they couldn't tweet, but they could get into the Spaces.
Yeah,
and
so
they did.
So Mr. Tech Genius couldn't figure out a way to close the loophole, so he just decided
he just nuked the whole thing.
Mr.
Tech, because he's not a tech genius.
Everybody.
He's not a tech genius. He's a spoiled brat toddler.
Mm-hmm.
With about as much like ethics as this spoon, and
I think the spoon
that
has
much, huh?
more ethics.
The spoon might have more ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I was talking earlier to somebody, and I said I would say he's like an emotionally stunted middle school kid, but that does a disservice to middle school kids because I taught 8th grade, and probably 98% of the kids that I taught had stronger spines, a better sense of self, and more conscience and a stronger sense of ethical responsibility toward their fellow, anybody else in the community than this fucking billionaire does. And it's almost like where it's almost like Trump left a vacuum. He took up all this space as a Christo-fascist, and when he got deplatformed and he got de-presidented and now he's in a lot of legal trouble, and it really left a power vacuum, I think. And Elon has swooped in to, to take that, to continue the path of destruction that Trump started us on. And, interestingly, as much as he craves Trump's approval and kinship, he's not getting it, but he's sure as shit continuing that disgusting pattern and wreaking a different kind of damage. Twitter is the only of its kind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I resent that I have to go try to rebuild my whole.
How is anybody going to rebuild those communities? Those
There are tools,
lists, but those fountains of, those finely curated, painstakingly curated, like groups of, places where they got good information from journalists, from doctors, from. This is something that's been built up over what was it? Is it 15 years? How long? Like around
there. On since 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So 18, like 17 years or something.
Yeah.
Gone, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it may as well be. You certainly can't rely on it anymore. It was never great, but I mean, like, this is just.
But it had its moments.
He's swinging it around. He's swinging a sledgehammer around to it. It's like.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely what he's doing. The value, even after he came, I made my Mastodon accounts. I've been working on lists. I've been working on trying to build up community, all those things. But the one thing that Twitter I couldn't duplicate was people like Aaron Rupar and like my list of all like the people that you follow for news and everything, because Twitter was always good for that, for journalism,
especially
and now
videos.
And he essentially took a sledgehammer to that.
Yeah,
I mean, he basically said, "Okay, we'll get rid of that, at least for the liberal people." So now they're scattered, and unfortunately, what's happened is that the journalists like Rupar are going over to Post, which I think is a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm. I can't even get Post. I can't get on the waiting list since November 20th. I can't get in.
Have you send out those referral links? That's how you get in. You have to have 5 people that you refer, and then you get in.
Some of the people are doing
an MLM.
Doesn't matter.
It is. It's totally an MLM, and it's Mark Andreessen who's at the head of it. So, I mean, it just bothers me that that's where they're going with the micropayments and everything else. And I hope that they figure out a way to at least cross-post onto a Mastodon server. See, what I think should happen is that all of these different media outlets, New York Times, Washington Post, Vox, all of them should do what we're doing at Crooks and Liars and have our own server for our own Mastodon server, and that our people can be on. And it's private. We're not going to open it up to everybody to come in, but our people can be on it and they can follow from that, and they can build their own following from that. And so that's what they should be doing, not going over to Post, where yet again we have a billionaire financed social network that it looks pretty, I guess, if you like, serif fonts and it's like, to me, here's what it is. It's like taking a bunch of blogs and throwing them onto one timeline, and we used to use RSS feeds for that. Remember, we used to, and then we have an RSS reader.
We have gone so full circle. When I started my life online, I was doing an email marketing newsletter. And what the hell is Substack except these email newsletters?
Yeah, no, Substack is it's a blog with email capabilities. That's really all it is. And absolutely.
Twitter actually was something that was genuinely new and different.
But and the thing about for all those Post people out there that are good, say to me, "Don't be a hater," blah blah blah. Here's why I am. Because the thing about Twitter was, and honestly, I didn't even like it when it went to 280 characters, but okay. The thing about Twitter was you had to figure it out in 140 characters and put it on there. And then you just had this nice stream that was all basically short form posts. It forced you to think about what you were going to put And then threading started, and that drove me crazy. It still drives me crazy. It's like, if you're going to thread, go put it in a blog post and drop a link on Twitter.
Right.
That's what you need to do. But I mean, that's what made it unique.
Even if post is pretty, Twitter was never pretty. It was never, it was functional.
Well, no, that's the thing. It started as text messages.
Right. Exactly.
Donna, you remember?
So you're saying like that people like the way post looks or whatever, but big shit. I don't like, that's not,
They like the way it looks. They like that they have bold and underline and italics, and they can do pretty things with their text. And see, to me, that's like, where you do that is on a site. You don't do it on somebody else's site where they're going to own your content, right? I mean, you go and you do it on your site where you own it.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's like Medium.
Yeah. Right. It is Medium, but it's like Medium in one big stream, and to make it worse, you have to, like, if it's more than one line, then you have to click it open. Right. So it's a double click on everything. So it's just,
like a pain in the ass.
I know that it's totally like not my bag. And yet that's because it's Andreessen, because they got the sort of the cool kids right out of the box, right? They pulled them over.
Who owns it? Who's the billionaire you're talking about?
Marc Andreessen. He was
I don't know who
Netscape billionaire. He's the guy that made $1 billion from Netscape, the browser.
The whole World Wide Web,
became
a thing because of Andreessen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about going full circle.
Yeah,
right?
really.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so, Mastodon is the closest thing to the Twitter experience, but
it is.
I will never build up my 12,000 followers on Mastodon. My 12,000 on Twitter,
So I just to speak to that, though, is that, there's a tool that you can use, and I'll give you the link to it, where you can go in, and people that you followed on Twitter, right, will match up with who's on their accounts on Mastodon, so that you can follow them.
Cool.
Well, that would be
really cool.
a big time saver.
Because remember, and I'm going to say this over and over again for a long time, the value of a social network is not who follows you, it's who you follow. Right? And so Mastodon has way fewer of the trolls and the duplicate accounts and the bots and all that. And in fact, you have to identify yourself as a bot on Mastodon in order to do it. So if you use that tool, you can follow. It's really easy to follow all the people that are on there. And it makes it. And then just the other thing I've discovered is sometimes it's just fun to engage on the general timeline, and somebody that you've never met before that you don't follow, and they just say something interesting, and you either boost it or you reply to it or something. Right. And it's really amazing, like how you can actually get some very interesting conversations going and stuff with them. And there, because there's a lot of artists over there. There's a lot of photographers. There's a lot of that
makes it more like old Twitter, because it
does make it more like old Twitter. Yeah.
I'm nodding my head like I was on old Twitter. I wasn't. I didn't get on Twitter until like I had to, which was, I don't know, 2012 or something. But
we were all there journalists,
I mean, we were we were there before that, and because all of us had some kind of either followed some techies or knew some techies or whatever. And back in just to go down memory lane for a minute, when Twitter was first a thing, there was no website. You couldn't go to twitter.com. There was no such thing. In fact, I think somebody owned twitter.com that wasn't related to Twitter, and it took him a couple of years easy to buy the site.
So was it only an app or something?
It wasn't an app. It was text messages. 40404. You texted to 40404 and texted back, and followed people. And you, like, if you wanted to send a direct message, you said, D so-and-so, right?
I do not understand.
I mean, there was no website, so it was all text. And then there was one cool feature to it, which was Track, where you could actually track a term. So I could track Obama, and everything would come right into
So
my text
is
messages
that the
for Obama.
precursor to hashtags, basically?
Oh yeah, hashtags were not. They were Christmasina,
It's
like
just the same
invented
thing. Isn't it
hashtags after
developed
the
into a
fact.
hashtag? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Tracking developed into hashtag?
Well, no, track is something different, because track is pushing it to you, as opposed to a hashtag where you have to go and follow the hashtag. So
I see.
you didn't have to have a hashtag, but Christmasina basically decided that hashtags were cool for identifying things, or, you know, topics or whatever. And that's how that came into being. But there was, at first there was no website, and then there were some apps that you could get for your phone. An iPhone was really new, right? It was, I don't know when it came out, but it was before Twitter, but not very long before.
Okay.
So it was totally new. And these apps were like, the ones for your desktop were on Flash. So they'd crash all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Adobe Flash.
It crashed all the time too.
Yeah. Right. And then, you know, your iPhone would actually, they did a pretty good job of developing the apps for the iPhone. And then from there, they did finally open the website. And that's when they figured out, I think it was a couple of years in, it was definitely after Obama was nominated, I think.
Yeah, 2007.
Because I remember getting all the Momocrats text messages, right?
Yeah.
When they were at the convention.
Meeting, you know, from the convention when we had our press pass for the 2008 convention.
Right. I was at home and cried because I didn't.
I know.
So sad.
So sad.
I was super sad about it. But anyway, so I mean that's the evolution of Twitter. And then then they started with the algorithms and the big data, and which we all knew was going to happen, by the way. But you know, Twitter has been an amazing organizing and messaging tool for a lot of different groups that are marginalized, that didn't have any way. The first example of that, I think, would have been the Iranian Green Revolution.
Yes.
That was 2009, I think. And that was really organized and pushed online by Twitter.
Yeah.
So, and you know, journalists, I don't think showed up until probably mid 2009. I think we were there a long time before they were. Okay. So anyway, I mean, I don't want to go too far down memory lane, but the point is that you know, I've been on there since March 2007. And I was on because I basically challenged the techies to tell me why I should do it. And one did. I thought, this is stupid. You're just sending like stupid little text messages into the netherworld. And they said, you know what, though? It's a one-to-many application. So let's say, for example, you have an earthquake in California. Yeah. You can text one-to-many and, you know, get the word out, and they can pass it along. And that made perfect sense to me. Absolutely made absolute sense to me.
I remember when there was a wildfire that got too close to my house, and I was going to be evacuated. And I was tweeting about it on Twitter. And I was getting, you know, people here in the Valley who I knew were saying, oh my God, come stay with us, you know?
Right.
You know, people were willing to help.
Right.
And that was a wonderful experience, you know, to just have that immediate response, you know?
Right. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that was always, and there's nothing, the closest is Mastodon, and I think it can get to that point, but it's just, you know, there's a tipping point right now with Twitter going to Mastodon. In fact, Elon Musk is so insecure that he's actually blocked Mastodon links.
Along with the journalists, he blocked Mastodon last night.
So if you try to post a Mastodon link, you get a message that says this is an unsafe site.
Didn't he also make it so? Didn't he deplatform Mastodon completely? Didn't he not allow Mastodon to have their own Twitter account?
He blocked them, but he also made it so that you can't post your Mastodon links unless you already put them in your bio and they're there.
Okay. Right. That's what I did. So
what I did too.
Fucking toddler.
Yes, he is a toddler.
Yeah,
absolutely. No question about it.
Here we were going, thank God we don't have to deal with the narcissistic megalomaniac anymore. You know, the
That's
one
what did I say at the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like someone else swooped in to fill the vacuum.
It's not just Elon. It's Peter Thiel.
Mhm.
It's whichever Saudis gave him money for the buyout.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that don't want marginalized people to
Yeah.
have a voice.
Speaking of the Saudis and Twitter, can we just note that there was a Twitter employee that just got sentenced to 5 years in prison
Oh,
for basically selling personal data from Twitter to the Saudis.
oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, that happened yesterday or something. So he was an employee and he basically was taking personal information and giving it to the Saudis and everything. And I mean, that's just super scary. I mean,
Yep.
I've always said to people, like, don't say anything in direct messages you wouldn't say in public.
Yeah.
Because if you're hacked, I mean, it was always, if you're hacked, then those messages will be public, so don't be sexting with direct messages or whatever it is you're doing, because you will be found out and you will be embarrassed at the least, and worse could happen. So don't do that.
I mean,
Assume that your Twitter
the
DMs are the same as your public messages, and nothing has changed that for me. And when Elon took over, the first thing I did was bail out of all the DM groups that I was in, and which were for organizing, not for anything nefarious. But I bailed out of them and went to different service for those. So, but it's hard for people who are marginalized, who have used Twitter for. I mean, it's the same argument you make for Facebook, Eliza. They've created a community, they've got a network, and now they can't use that network anymore the way they could before.
Yeah.
So, and it's usually, Black people or people of color or women, who are in that situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that happened. That last night was wild. I have to tell you, the one thing I will say about it is that...
Were you in that Spaces, Carolee? Did you listen?
I was not in that Spaces, but everything that was going on
happening. I wasn't
reminded me of, old Twitter, where you'd have something just blow out like that news-wise, and not that particular thing, but just something news-wise, and it would be like all over the place so fast you couldn't possibly even track how fast things were happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was this guy and then this guy and then this guy, and you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, what is going on here? I mean, what is the matter with this man?
The outrage that it was Aaron Rupar he had a problem with.
Aaron Rupar was the one that shocked me.
Yeah,
right, because there is not a nicer guy online than Aaron Rupar,
right.
And he posts pictures of his little kids. What?
Or more straightforward or honest. All
right.
Stuff is just, he's not inflammatory.
No,
he's not.
He just puts the information out there. Here, I just
puts it out there.
I just clipped this from Fox. I just clipped.
Yeah, this video happened. This thing happened.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, and if you're lucky, you get to see his daughter, who's adorable. I love Mia, and his little boy.
Yeah.
And stuff, because he loves to post the stuff with his kids. Although I think he does more of that on Substack now than he did.
I don't blame him for not doing it with the kids as much on Twitter.
I don't blame him either. I was actually a little shocked at how often he did post pictures of Mia in particular, but I mean, the thing is that it was just really he's a nice man. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? He's a nice, good.
That doesn't matter.
He watches that crap so we don't have to kind of guy.
Yeah. Doing the Lord's work.
Exactly.
His Substack. His is one of the good ones to subscribe to.
I have subscribed to it. I recommend that everybody does, and it's definitely one of the good ones, no question. And everything. I'm subscribed to too many of those actually, but I'm going to try to pare that down next year. But his is one that will stay on the keep list. Yeah.
But
I don't know what that thing was.
That was me.
Oh,
Sorry.
same thing happened. Like I got a message from is that your Slack notification? Because I got a Slack
Yes,
notification. Oh,
you
that's
did.
your little
I
sound.
actually
I'm
need
like,
to like close Slack so that it doesn't like do that right now. Yeah.
no.
Okay. So sorry about that.
Time to move on from Elon.
It
But,
is.
I will admit that as exhausting as he is right that Twitter has been very entertaining, not for the reasons that he wants it to be. I
Right.
think we'll beat everybody, everybody mocking him and putting the Elon name. And I think he was truly shocked that he wasn't being treated the way his toadies treat him, you know?
Well, and the other thing is like the Tesla board has to be out of their bodies over this, right?
They
I
are
mean,
out
they
of
have to be.
you have to scrape them off the ceiling right now. They are losing their minds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He is ruining them. He is ruining
And
the Tesla
he's
brand.
destroying their market.
He totally is. Nobody now Tesla.
Nobody wants to buy a Tesla
nobody wants to
anymore.
buy a
Everybody
Tesla.
did last year.
Yeah.
Right?
No one
I mean,
wants one.
I wanted
want
to
a
buy a
Chevy now.
Tesla. My daughter
want a
wanted to buy
Chevy
a
Bolt.
Tesla.
I
Yeah,
tested my Tesla when my sister got hers, and yeah, I won't be buying a Tesla.
Oh no.
I will probably be getting. Right now, I'm looking at the ID4, which is I test drove one of those. It's very nice.
Who makes those?
VW, and a lot easier to transition to because you don't have
Is it full electric?
Full electric.
Mm-hmm.
Motor Trend's Car of the Year.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah. Or maybe
what kind of car is it?
Maybe Car and Driver's Car of the Year.
Is it an SUV or a sedan or what?
It's like a small SUV type of car. It gets about 275 miles on a charge.
Wow,
that's not bad.
Very comfortable inside, drives smoothly, and it's easy to drive.
Yeah. I need an electric car that's going to get 325 miles to a charge because that's how far I need to get to Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, yeah.
in one shot.
It's going to get better. Volkswagen is building charging infrastructure, as is GM.
Yeah, and there's, it's going to take less and less time to give you a better charge, like when you do stop to charge up,
You can charge for 30 minutes and get 90 more miles.
Yeah, and that ratio is going to get better too as time goes on. I'm just glad that my, I know it's a full gas car, but it's a RAV4 and it gets really good mileage and I hardly have to drive anywhere anyway. So I only have like 90,000 miles on it. I feel like I'm going to hit the sweet spot for when I need a new car. I feel like electric cars are going to have, it's going to, like all the kinks will be worked out. I hope not wood that,
it's going to be
crossed, right? That, that kind of thing, those sorts of bugaboos will be worked out where I can, either the charges will last longer or if they don't, at least you can stop and take 15 minutes to charge.
Well, I'm anxious. Donna, when you get your car, you're going to have to give us like a video tour of it.
So you're in the market, Donna, for a new car like now?
My Volvo is 16 years old and it wasn't meant to last that long. I have stupid things going wrong on it now, and it's so expensive to do maintenance on a Volvo.
I know.
I haven't done any maintenance all year, because I don't want to put any more money
into it. Yeah.
But let me just say one more thing about the VW. VW is giving you 3 years of free charging.
Oh, that's nice.
Buy one of their cars.
Wow.
So what does that mean? That they they install the charger in your garage or something and they pay for the line?
They're building their charging infrastructure. You go to one of their charge stations and it is free for 3 years.
That's very cool.
And so until there is more infrastructure, you could always go to a VW dealer and get charged.
Okay.
I'm thinking on my drive to Sacramento, there's VW dealers along 99,
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
find
So
anybody.
now you have to pay if you, let's say, had a Tesla and were driving on the turnpike and stopped at a rest stop and needed to charge, you have to pay to use the charging station?
Always.
Okay.
I mean,
So
there's-
How much
it's
is it?
not, I'm sorry?
But the fast ones, you always have to pay.
Okay.
I'm curious as to how much they are. Does anybody
Me
know?
too. Me
Well,
too.
it's kind of like Uber surge pricing. It changes by time of day. That also could be
Oh,
because of the energy companies too, because they
right.
have different charges, different time. So my sister, we've got a big Tesla charging thing by my house. And so when
Mhm,
she comes to visit, I've gone with her to go charge the car. And
mhm.
it will be like if we go before the price changes, it's like $5 or $6 for a full charge that'll give her
Okay.
400 miles.
That's not
pretty
bad.
good.
That's pretty damn good if you look at what
Are you kidding? Like if you have to like fill up a tank that's going to give you 300 miles, it's
Yeah.
like it's $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a great segue, I'd like to say, into the filling up a tank. Here in
Yes.
here in
Yes.
California, filling up a tank has gone down a lot. So we're back to under $5 a gallon, which in
I was going to
California
ask because in Oregon I'm
is
seeing
yeah,
the prices don't seem too bad, but I know it's not
yeah.
California.
Well, in
I
California,
paid
under $5 a gallon,
last week.
yeah, is pretty
And
good.
I use the mid. I don't use regular. I like because I
You
have
have
a
to use the
Volvo.
mid because it's a Volvo.
Yeah.
So, and there a report came out this week that said that inflation was down by 0.6%, which is down. That means like
Right.
not up, but down.
For 2 months,
So
it's been going steadily down.
it's been going down.
Still
And
higher than anybody wants. The Fed is still raising rates.
can we just talk about that for a second, please? I mean,
Mr. Andrea Mitchell?
yeah, exactly. Well, it's not him, but
not.
it's Jerome Powell, but it's the same bullshit. It's like, okay, right? The inflation's going down twice, but Jerome Powell's out there. Oh, well, we're just going to, not only are we going to raise interest rates again by 0.5%, but we're going to make a speech about how we expect no GDP growth next year and how we expect unemployment to go up by 3 or 4%.
Now,
and everything. We're going to make a speech about that, and we're going to drive the markets down, 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 double down, 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 and make everybody pessimistic. And it makes me want to throw shit out the window. I mean, it's like enough.
Especially since the economy did not contract.
Exactly.
The economy,
grew.
all these people are going, we're in a recession. No, we're not in a recession.
But he's trying to cause one, and that's what's making me mad.
Yes. And, certain sectors have contracted. The housing sector has contracted because people don't want to get home loans that cost more than they're used to paying. Now, never mind that when I bought my house 26 years ago, my interest rate was 9%.
Yeah.
Our like next to zero interest rates that we enjoyed for 2 decades, that was unprecedented.
It wasn't
unprecedented. Now is not unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's just that nobody.
We refinanced to 9%, Donna. Just
right?
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God, what was it to start?
I think it was 11. We bought this place a few years before her. We've been here for 33 years. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like for anybody who's watching, who's like, oh, those are the bad old days. Donna's right. These low interest rates were unprecedented. They truly were. And it's okay to raise. I mean, I think home loans are 7% or something now. That's really not terrible. And it's good for people that put their money in cash and have savings and want interest on that and everything. But the thing that's frustrating me is that the Fed seems to want to actually cause a recession.
Yeah.
They actually, and so then you have all the conservatives, right, screaming that we're going to have this terrible, awful recession just ahead of course, 2024.
Right.
So, they already tanked in 2022.
Republicans, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they think it's good for them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's the Biden economy. He caused the inflation. Well, actually, we're doing
He
better than
didn't.
any other country in the world right now,
Yeah.
you know? And, I do understand that the Fed's focus is the inflation. The inflation sucks. We need to get the inflation down. But the extra,
The hand wringing.
Right. Well, that, and also, I mean,
It's
getting
it's going to get worse
Yeah.
when they don't.
the 0.5% was already baked into the markets,
Right.
just so you know, and they were
Right.
up at 34. And then he gave this speech and they went in the tank again,
Right.
because everybody's like, oh, we really are going to have a recession, aren't we?
And yet people
And we don't have to have one of those, because
presence.
I'd just like to point out that the Inflation Reduction Act has huge investments from the US government right now
Yeah.
into industries
Infrastructure.
here in this country. The CHIPS Act has huge investments in this country in building the microchips here, right? Even the Recovery Act,
Yep.
has investments. So there's and the infrastructure. I didn't
That's
even
what
get
I
to the
said. Yeah, the
infrastructure bill,
infrastructure.
right? So all of
Yeah.
those things are things that are happening, that are creating jobs, that are actually stimulating the economy, and those got discounted for
Right.
some reason.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really
for some
annoying.
reason, gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, well, they're bankers.
Because
Yeah.
there's a narrative,
Yeah.
and this economy doesn't defy the narrative. It's not following the rules.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that this economy was created by a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And there have been all kinds of unforeseen consequences
Yeah.
of that pandemic, which is still going on. And then add in the war in Ukraine. There is a lot of uncertainty, and there's nothing that investors hate more than uncertainty. They want to
Yeah.
know they're getting their profits,
And yet, I have to come back to the fact that consumer confidence is up. People are buying for Christmas and the holidays. The gas prices are down, right? And big ticket items are getting bought. And all the things that were on those container ships a year ago that didn't get here in time for Christmas, guess what? They got here.
Yep.
And they're, and so prices are coming down. One of the things that I was like, just to drive that home, that somebody said the cost of one container of goods on a ship last year was $19,000, and this year it's $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So you start, looking at these big container ships. I mean, I'm just saying, I felt like being pessimistic was a very Republican thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much fed into the
It's
Republican
theatrics.
narrative.
It's theatrics. And like healthcare, like the way humans, the way that the COVID pandemic should have been treated in a nonpartisan way, the economy should be treated in a nonpartisan way, but it's not being treated that way because Republicans want to stay in power.
Right.
And one thing, like, this is related but not related, but a little bit. I cannot find 5-ounce Dixie cups anywhere. Did we talk about this?
No.
No, let's talk about
this is going to seem like a tangent, but it's really not. Okay. I wanted to know why I could not find my 5-ounce Dixie cups any fucking where. And if I found it, God forbid, Amazon is my last resort for anything. They were like $60 for.
Oh, that's crazy. What the heck?
A thing of whatever.
Now I have to Google them.
Absurd, right? Would you like to know why?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, here's why. Domestic production is suffering from a lack of workers at paper mills and a shortage of resin needed to coat the cups due to an extended extreme cold streak in Texas last year that shut down the state's power grid.
Oh my goodness.
So it's Governor.
Seriously?
Thank you, Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott and Republicans are the reason I don't have my fucking Dixie cups.
I could put that as a quote on a promo for this.
Thank you, Greg Abbott. I swear to God, like, people act like Republicans are so fucking great for the economy.
They're not.
But they're not. They never have been.
In Texas. Like, this is why nobody should want to bring their actual business or their factories or anything to Texas.
Well,
or any Republican-run state. They don't support infrastructure. They don't support, workers. They don't support anything. Now, like, literally, there's no Dixie cups anywhere.
The problem is that we now live in a world that is run by the MBAs. And the MBAs just look at a spreadsheet.
Right.
And they don't look at the other factors.
Well,
what they care about is profit and loss.
Well, don't you think
they better start looking, because if there's no 5-ounce Dixie cups,
don't they want to sell them? All you can get them is from some random seller on Amazon who's like gouging me. I'm like, so I have to get like substandard Dixie cups, right? That don't have the resin. So like if they get wet, like they crumple up, right? So I mean,
you should be using glass.
I know. But like, I'm just saying, okay? Like, yeah. All right, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Somebody.
I'm not drinking out of a paper cup. These were for, when
this
I
is glass. See? Glass.
Whatever. I'm just saying.
Do you know what? I think we've got a nice segue now into what was good this year.
You're welcome.
What was good this year is that other narrative that we heard all year, that drumbeat, besides the inflation and the economy and everything is awful, was that there would be a big red wave.
Oh, bloodbath.
That Democrats would lose 50 seats in the House and the Senate, lose the Senate too. And we not only did not lose the Senate, poor Kevin McCarthy can't get enough votes to be
boo. And should I say boo fucking
we gained governorships and legislatures in some of the states.
And for all those fuckers, including progressives who are trying to get Biden to step down, this is the first president since the 1930s who retained every single senator of their party, every single incumbent,
and added one.
Yeah,
and add one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Well, you did notice that Newt Gingrich said that to the Fox audience that they should stop underestimating Joe Biden.
Oh, really? I missed that. Really? So he spoke truth for a minute. He accidentally
for a minute.
He spoke truth for a minute,
and before going back to the other. But I mean,
he gets no credit for that.
It is certainly a credit to Joe Biden, no question about it. But let's also not forget
Black women,
the candidates that they put up.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, that too.
I mean, Mitch McConnell said, and I mean, this is the closest I've heard any Republican break with Trump. Basically, that candidate quality made a difference. This was just this week. And he didn't have it. So he goes, you have to deal with, have to play the hands you're dealt.
Yeah.
And, we did the best we could with what we had, basically is what he said. And as much as I dislike Mitch McConnell, he was absolutely right about that. Yeah. I mean, J.D. Vance should not be a senator.
No.
I mean, let's just be honest, right? And he was the least bad of the Republican candidates. And that's why he won.
Yeah.
Disgusting. What a fucking
maybe
disgusting
Tim Ryan should have embraced. I mean, it's easy to.
Well, you can what if, but I really think that Tim Ryan blew it when he didn't embrace Democrats and Biden. I mean, I think that that his attempt to be Mr. Independent was the wrong way to go on that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Given, especially when you place him side by side with the Democrats who did embrace Biden.
Right.
And
you know, look at the people who brought Biden in and brought Obama in, and you know, look how well they did.
Right.
Can we all be grateful that we don't have Senator Herschel Walker to swim?
Oh, thank God.
Yes, we may. And we are.
I mean,
not to put words in his mouth, but I would be willing to bet that Herschel Walker is grateful we don't have Senator Herschel Walker.
Oh, I don't know. I think he would have been okay with being Senator Herschel Walker.
He probably would have been okay with it, but I'm sure he's, you know, happier doing something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But he, I mean, it's the angst of Georgia Republicans is something to behold, right? I mean, here you have Raphael Warnock, Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock, winning
Dr. Reverend Senator.
Yeah. Winning by 3 full percentage points, 100,000 plus votes in Georgia. It wasn't even close.
Nope.
And you have these Republicans whining that they, you know, they'll never win another senator election because, you know, Atlanta.
Because of black people.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the underlying, right? I mean, it's
not even underlying.
It was a rural minister basically whining about the fact that unless they get rid of, you know, the 17th Amendment, is it whatever it is, that where people elect their own senators instead of them being appointed by the House of Representatives, or something.
Right.
If you don't get rid of that, it's not fair because Atlanta will always, you know, come in and override everything. And of course, you know, Atlanta is, as you point out, code for black people.
Right.
Any urban city.
Yeah.
Any of those words.
Yep.
Is code for black people.
Yeah.
Or brown people, or you know, depends on what part of the country you're in. But yes.
But yes, I mean, we have lots to be, I mean, I'm really grateful that we have the Senate, and I'm thinking about things like, I read that, you know, tomorrow or next week, they're having a meeting about Trump's tax returns in the House because they have them. And what are they going to do with them with the Republicans taking over, right? So I'm thinking to myself, send them over to the Senate, right?
Senate.
Just pick them up, shovel them over to the Senate, and let the Senate take care of it.
Because they
right?
can.
Because we have Democrats in the Senate, right?
Yeah.
And everything. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'd be shocked if they actually release those tax returns. I don't think that'll happen.
Why?
I don't think that, I mean, I think Democrats are going to think about what kind of revenge options Republicans have. And, you know, even the Democrats always release their tax returns, but you have to know that there's going to be some kind of vengeful action. I just think there's a more subtle way to finesse the tax returns, and it involves sending them to the Senate with recommendations for the Senate. You can always leak some stuff, you know, that's not hard to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. See, now I thought you were saying we'll never know what's on.
No, I think we'll know. I just think that they're not going to just say, publish these tax returns.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
So,
but they are, when is the January 6th report coming out? When is it for
Monday
for public consumption?
Well, I have it on order at Amazon. So I think that like Monday, they're supposed to approve the report and they're supposed to approve the referrals. And then I think the report goes to the printers and then it goes out to the public. So,
okay.
And that brought us to the other thing that I thought was a positive for 2022 was the work of the January 6th committee. I think that we can be eternally grateful for the work that they did.
Yep.
And I really do believe that the information they gathered will fuel what DOJ is doing as well.
I agree.
We may actually see some accountability.
I think so too.
From your mouth.
And one of the things that I didn't realize was how important it was in the midterms.
Yeah.
So because if the press was to be believed, nobody cared, right? January
Mhm.
6th committee did their thing and nobody cared about it,
Remember that?
right?
Remember
Yeah.
when they had their first hearing and
Mhm.
it was like, well, we don't think anybody much is going to watch it except for political junkies. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to affect anything. They were so fucking
Wrong.
I'm
That was a
raising my hand.
big fucking deal. Yeah.
was.
The press is not on our side
No,
with this.
no.
The press wanted it
Yeah.
to not be watched. They wanted it to not have an impact on the midterms.
Mhm.
They wanted Republicans to take over again. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they continue to underestimate the interest marginalized people have in seeing that something like January 6th never happens again.
Yeah.
And the interest that marginalized, the passion that marginalized people have in retaining their rights to have their votes count and not be overthrown, evidenced by the turnout of the runoff election in Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times and how many different ways we need to impress upon people that we really are going to fight to keep our rights and to keep democracy. But the press doesn't want to know from that.
I mean, that was the two overriding themes, right? Nobody cares about January 6th, and abortion is not going to be a big deal in the midterms, right?
You're gonna these lady women, they're gonna forget all about it.
Yeah, we don't, they're happy with the men taking care of their decisions for them. Yeah.
That
I mean,
one was the one that just knocked my socks off. It's like, are you people serious? Do you ever talk to women, or are you just like
what kind of liberal? Where is the liberal press? What the fuck? It doesn't exist. It does not exist.
Well, what liberal press there is getting kicked off of Twitter.
Exactly.
Right.
And the thing is
exactly
that, I forget who said it, but truth has a liberal bent. This is a quote from somebody smarter than me. But
but it does, because liberals rely on facts, and that's why it does, because it's fact-based as opposed to fantasy-based.
Exactly.
Which is why we have such a hard time when we get into an argument with a conservative, because we're thinking, we'll just tell them all the facts and
I don't do it anymore.
And they'll know, right?
They're all, they keep accusing us of being bleeding heart liberals. They're the ones that are being fueled by emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Emotion,
they feel like something should be a certain way, so therefore it is. I mean, that's kind of how that logic works. And that's what Fox News does, right? Yeah. Fox News says you should feel really angry about this thing that doesn't actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so people get really angry because they think it's happening when it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the other thing is that, another truism I didn't invent, but that, is that, people of privilege, to the privileged, equality feels like oppression. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Fox News, channels,
banks
and
on.
no pun intended, but, amplifies and exacerbates, like,
the grievance culture. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's speaking to these people of privilege, even if they're living in a trailer, but it's speaking to people of white privilege and saying, you should be really worried and scared that, you're going to be in the minority. And, they're speaking to the rich people and saying, you can't let these poor people, make a living. And, like all this shit.
Well, it brings me to another segue, because we're in the last few minutes of our hour.
And, good job, John.
I think that I'm the one providing all the segues here.
Yes, you are. You're doing very well. And it is December. Yes. How are you guys spending your war on Christmas?
My war on Christmas is
War on, I mean, my war on Christmas
that's
back.
the Jew with the with
I
the
was going to
Christmas
say
tree.
the War on Christmas back there. Is that the
Yeah.
one you're talking about?
You know,
My
you're
little collection of hand-carved Santas over there. Yeah. Okay.
talking about how, you know, Fox News speaking to people as if, you know, they're going to be oppressed. And that's what that whole war on Christmas thing is, that they're it's oppressive for
Yeah.
them to say happy holiday.
Oh yeah, don't take away my rights.
Happy holidays is oppression.
Mhm. Okay.
It's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
The war on Christmas, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
I'm spending my war on Christmas like looking at a Hanukkah advent calendar in Target. You know, the fuck Target. That's
At the same time, I kind
you know what I'm doing for my war on Christmas?
of having an advent calendar, just
Oh my god, you know, it's
a little
and I am buying my parents for Hanukkah. I'm buying them the Donald Trump NFT.
oh no, no.
They're gone.
You can't
They're
get
gone?
them.
You
They're
can't get
gone.
them?
But so my
Damn it.
guess is
My dad's
the
gonna be so
RNC bought a
upset.
whole. I know the RNC probably bought a lot of them so that they could
Oh.
basically launder some money and give it to
Yeah.
Trump because
How am I going to launder my money?
we can't. The best we can do is put it in the washer. But yeah, no, you can't have any NFTs. No Trump NFTs. They're all gone. Superman, all of them. And by the way, he was I do agree with Eclectic Blog about this, that he was hoping that we would all mock him and so that it would boost sales. And between the cult and the RNC, I'm sure that's why they all sold out.
Yeah.
And everything. But honestly, some of the cult. So my Merry Christmas was watching some of the cult really be angry about it. So Steve Bannon and Ben Shapiro.
Why? Why were they mad?
Big Alaska, they're like, because they wanted this big announcement that he hyped. Like Mike Flynn was like, he's going to run for Speaker of the House, and then they're going to impeach Biden several times, right? And it's NFTs. I mean, they were just so disappointed and all.
I misunderstood. I thought they were upset about the NFTs, not that it wasn't what they were hoping.
I drink their disappointment. Come, pour it in my glass.
Isn't it?
Oh gosh. So yeah, that was special. I mean, and it's that wingnut that does the digital art for him, the one that does him like being Jesus and stuff, it's like
and he picked him 100 pounds less than he actually is.
Right. Well, somebody did. They put the NFT in the background and then they put him in the front. Saw that that's like the really fat Superman suit with the saggy pants and everything.
You gotta send that to me.
I could not stop laughing at that. That was too funny.
So. Yeah, I saw people saying, like, does he know that's just his head on some other body? Like, he knows that's not his body, right?
I don't think he does.
It's all about the grift. He doesn't care as long as the money's in his pocket, and that's where it went. And I guarantee you, I actually have a note to look at the RNC's disclosures.
Oh yeah.
Because let's see, this is December. They go on like quarterly, basically after the election. So they'll have to file year end, and then they'll file March. And I'm going to check both of those to see how much money they paid for those NFTs, because I guarantee you they did.
So you think that so? What are you looking for to see if they? Paid
I want to see that they. I mean, no, they did, but I just want to see how much money basically got laundered out of the RNC. RNC can't write Trump a check. They can't just say, Donald Trump, here's a couple of million to help you with your legal fees. They can't do that.
But
so he puts up
now, so they can't do his legal fees anymore either.
Right. So he can't do that. So he puts up this, basically scam, these NFTs for $95 or $99 a piece. And they buy them, the RNC, so that like they do books and everything else, right? So that they can give them away as part of, a thing,
package.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything. So that's how that works. And then he has the 4 million in his
What you're
pocket.
looking for is to know how much money they actually.
Yeah, I want to
spent
know
on
how
them
much
and
money
stuff.
went out of the RNC into his pocket.
Well, you will have to follow up with us on that.
Mhm.
We're done. We're
Oh,
done.
okay. Bye.
So in January, I want to hear about it.
Me too.
That's
Your
our
homework.
show. Join us in January at mamacrats.buzzsprout.com, our YouTube channel, or find us on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, Amazon Music, and be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz-Mills with Carol Lee and Eliza.
Merry Christmas.
We're wishing you all a very happy holiday, whatever you
Happy
want.
New Year's.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
All those things.
Mama Chats is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.